Welcome to Think About It Using Common Sense, which today I find common sense is no longer common based on the way people are thinking and people are acting today. The title of my podcast today is Saving America. And it's not about whether you're a Democrat, whether you're a Republican, whether you're a right winger or left winger, up winger or down winger. People, things in this country today is just out of control. And it's been said that all great countries, powerful countries, they crumble from within. And this is what I see happening in America today in 2023. And when you think about it, we are the end results, thousands of millions of years of evolution has came in time to what we are displaying today as human beings. What we are representing when we put words out there like justice, putting words out there like integrity, put words out there like love, which today is becoming and has become meaningless. Because when we look at the definition, we look at words, we put meaning. When I say we, I'm talking about humans, our actions. We put meanings to words. And when you think about it, we as humans put meaning to everything. And I'm talking about saving America, because meanings aren't what they're supposed to be, or they're not what they was written to be. And I'm starting at the top. The Supreme Court. My nose itch, excuse me. And that word Supreme Court, let's talk about meaning. Let's talk about what we have put at the meaning, or what the Supreme Court supposed to mean and supposed to represent. And from what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, the Supreme Court, they need to just get rid of that word supreme. Because from what's being put on the news, the people there are a bunch of hypocrites, they're liars, they are not upholding the justice based on justice. They're doing it out of their own selfish needs. And this is what the Supreme Court is not supposed to be about. And that word supreme supposed to be the highest court there is, where people can go and get justice. Now, what I'm going to do, because this is not me talking, what I'm going to do, I'm going to Google the word supreme. And let's see what Google say the word supreme means. Google the definition of supreme. Supreme, of authority, or an office, or someone holding it superior to all others. Okay? A unified force with a with supreme commanders. Now this is what we're not getting today. You know, we're getting that word supreme, but when the door is closed, now it ends there. You know, we have a couple, matter of fact. Uh, I'm not calling any names. I'm just saying what's been happening on the Supreme Court. That a Supreme Court justice supposed to be uh, putting forth all the contributions and business dealings and expenses that's been put to him. He's supposed to uh, make that plain for everyone to see. Uh, Justices have family members in high places getting paid by people that's creating a conflict of interest, which isn't supposed to be happening. Uh, Justice and their wives, you know, had creating conflict of interest outside of where they're supposed to be, and things that also can come back and that the judge decides on, however it's done. But these things are not supposed to be happening. This is not a Republican issue. It's not a Democratic issue. This is an interest of justice and what justice is supposed to represent. We are not getting that. The President of the United States, the most powerful seat in the world. You can be a criminal and run for president and hold the most powerful office in the world. You don't even have to have knowledge of what the job is about. And you can hold that job, hold that office, and make life and death decisions, not only in this country, but around the world. I don't understand how that's possible, but it's possible. It's being done. You have people within the government, elected officials supporting a coup on the very country that they represent, that they was elected into office to protect and serve. You have politicians and government members that has been indicted, been to jail, been pardoned. Now it was on the news the other day that people were selling pardons for $2 million. This is the government supposed to be uh, represented by the officials, the elected officials that's in office to represent and move this country and the people forward. It's not happening. This is not a Democrat thing. This is not a Republican thing. But how is it that people in this government can go against the government that has benefited them and continue to do so in big ways? They make decisions that control trillions of dollars. That you can come in, you can be elected as a pauper, and at the end of your term served, you go out a multimillionaire. Some hell of high benefits. But yet, nothing is being done, or the little bit is being done. It's for the people that put you into office. We have more crime. I'm hearing on the news that schools in certain areas in worse conditions than they ever been. There are schools this very day, 2023, being closed because of asbestos. Schools need to be condemned because of the structure of these school buildings. The educational system is deteriorating Kids that graduate from school are not even qualified to go to college, and some of them. This is 2023. We are the end product of millions and millions of years of evolution. This is pitiful. Human beings are pitiful. And we're sitting around arguing with one another about this, about that. And at the end of the day, we're all in the same boat, excuse me, except the rich. It has nothing to do with, I mean, let's face it, you know what? People are being um, people are being maneuvered. I was listening to this radio station the other day, and we was talking about people's opinions and social media and how people get on and express themselves. That's fine. That's fine. This is what America is all about. This is what democracy is all about. Freedom of speech. But people, do some research. Do some research and do some common sense research. But like I said in the beginning, common sense is no longer common anymore. Common sense is the connection that you have with the universe, the connection that you have with nature. You don't have that. Majority of us has lost that. And when you lose that, you're losing yourself. You're losing yourself with the ability to think. I was um, I was listening to this gentleman today. He was talking about the pineal gland in the brain, and the pineal gland. And the reason I listen to it because I'm familiar with it. I study metaphysics and stuff, so it deals with the brain and the workings of it. So the pineal gland at one time was huge, but now, from what I'm understanding, it's about the size of a grain of rice, or maybe even less. Some people may not even have a pineal gland; might be totally disappeared, and that happens because of the use and not using it. And this is what happened. The pineal gland, from my studies, it's the spiritual gland. And in other words, when you use something, if you notice, if you go have an accident and you don't use your arm or your leg, you know, if you have to go back into therapy. You don't use it in a certain period of time, you have to go back into therapy to get it working. It loses its weight. Everything happens to it, just falls apart. And that's what happened to the pineal gland. Because as people began to become more physical through time, that pineal gland shrunk. You see, because as you look around today, the world it really isn't spiritual. Even the conversation when we're talking English, speaking is primitive, people. This is primitive because we should be able to communicate through mental telepathy. Telepathy. And that's why, in other words, you're reading people's minds. People should be clairvoyant. We're not that way. People live to die. People are born and right away they want to start planning on what their funeral. That's not spiritual. Spiritual is about life. It's about living. So when you start that, you develop around your mental attitude, your world, people. You want to know how people are, look around. You want to know how the whole civilization is? Look around. You can see it. It's easy. Look at what is our civilization all about? About making money, getting ahead, buying things. Somebody upsets you, shoot them, kill them, beat them up. You want something, you rob, you steal. All this stuff is us. This is what come out of our mind, people's mind. And it's simple. It's common sense. All you have to do is just think about it. And look what's happening outside. People, this is no way to live. This is no way to live. As we can see, we live in fear amongst ourselves. We hate one another for whatever reason. Instead of sharing, teaching, teaching people. But when you have one person have trillions of dollars, more money than some countries have, with millions of people. Come on. How is that? How is that one man, people, certain few people, they have all that money and they want more? This is what boggles my mind. They have more money they will ever spend, but they want more, yet people over here have nothing. Uh, they talking about uh, having school, having school all year round for kids. And I'm saying, time I heard it, first thing I said, well, guess what? If the kids do not keep up a certain level, grade level, then they need to go to school all year round. It's a no-brainer. Well, a lot of people objecting to it. Well, guess what? If your kid come up with a certain average, forget about it. They don't have to go. But these kids, if they don't have a certain grade average, by all means, where should they be but in school? Because the kids that's not learning anything, the kids that's running around out here in the street, these are the kids that's going to be in trouble. These kids that's out here doing all this stuff, these are not educated kids in the street doing all this stuff. No. And parents is talking about to create some activities. See where the future is heading with technology, AI, robotics, and different things that's going to be needed. Food, uh, mechanical engineering. You know, God, you steer your children in these directions. You know, sports and stuff is fine, but how many kids are gonna become a professional ball player? These kids have to live. Teach them these things and have some programs that will bring their interest after school. And let's face it, you know, you got to get rid of this. You got to put some kind of guidelines on all these cell phones and televisions and all this stuff because it's interfering with the child's learning. It's interfering with their development. You know, certain movie actresses, actresses, actors, they don't let their children watch the mess that they put on television. These programs that they movies they be making. I heard a woman on television said that she was getting complimented on the movie that she made, this scary movie that she made, and they asked her. They said, "Well, how do your kids like your movie?" She said she didn't even hesitate. I don't allow my children to watch that. Hello, yeah, but it's okay for them to make it for your kids to watch it. Teachers in the public schools. Where do your kids go? Oh, my kids go to a private school. Oh, yeah? That's nice. Why can't see these schools? They're buildings. There's a lot of money in cities that's allocated for these schools. And we have city councils, we have mayors, we have other people under them that's supposed to help, and people are giving money to school. Where's all the money at if there's nothing? If these schools, some of these schools where teachers have to go out and take money out of their own pockets and buy school supplies. What's wrong with this? Something is wrong with this, people. But it's not the not so much, but it is the council and the mayors, they do. But the people, the parents have got to get behind these school officials and everybody and say, look, guess what? Do your job. Get behind these teachers. These teachers should also have to take a test maybe every other year to be qualified. Your children is the most important thing on this planet, but yet in a lot of cases, it seems to be the ones that they don't really care about. Time they get in trouble, now you don't watch them, but time they get in trouble, you go running down to the police station and this, my child. But guess what? It begins at home. It does. And I hear people saying, well, I'm doing this. I don't care how much you're doing. You can find time. You can find time. I used to work a lot. I mean, a lot around the clock. But you know what? I found time to be the homeless school president. That's right. And the saddest thing, this is not what anybody telling me. This is the saddest thing. When I would call a homeless school meeting, and the school had at least 1,500 kids, I was lucky if I got 15 parents to show up. You hear me? Disgraceful. But yet you wonder, well, why we don't have this in school? Why we don't have this? Why we don't have that? Because people, you have to get involved. You have to get involved to save America. You have to get involved to save your children. And these politicians, they've been talking about every time an election come up, they talk about the same thing. Same thing. We got the same problems, even more problems. They give you a week. They'll send out brochures, vote for this person, vote for that person. I've never even heard of them before. 2 weeks before election time come out. You know. City councils, do your job. Do your job, people. And not only that, there should be a community oversight committee to oversee these politicians, to oversee these council members, to oversee everybody. They should have to come before the people 3 or 4 or 5 times a year, 6 times a year. And that's a fact. You just don't come out and make promises, promises, promises. That's what's been happening. And guess what? Where are we today? Got more people incarcerated than ever before. School system, we got the lowest educational level of teaching for our children throughout the country. Crimes, it's terrible. No respect. It's terrible, people. It's up to us to save America. And getting back to these politicians is a disgrace. Why in the world are we sitting here having people arguing and politicians plotting a coup against our country? And got some of them found guilty. We got politicians that's running for guilty of rape. You got politicians being accused of rape. all kinds of things. We're not looking for, we know you're not angels. Oh my God, you got to have some kind of uh, uh, resume that's presentable, that's respectable. You got to show that you're sincere about what you're doing. Running this country is a huge job with huge amounts of money, and you put out there, got your hands in a pot where nobody can actually see what's being done. You got to be trustworthy. It's not about you. It's not about you trying to be bad guy or you trying to be this. It's about getting jobs done. Do everybody have, do everyone have to think the same? No. Guess what? When you're thinking, if you're thinking for the best of the people and of this country, not for yourself, you're getting paid. You're getting paid to do a job. So you got your salary. So everything else should be about the American people and what's good for this country. And that's it. If you're working, anybody else working on a job, if you don't do your job, you get fired. Not these guys. No. These politicians, they vote themselves raises, they vote themselves days off, they increase their pensions, they get this. They got the best of everything. And they ain't gonna get in office and argue about what the American people should get. I don't get it. You know, there's no common sense here. People need to use common sense, and they do not. And it's just like that pineal gland. The brain, the brain itself operates on that same principle. And that is, if you don't use it, you lose it, people. You know, sometimes you might see a person say, wow, you know, that person just don't get it. I don't understand why that person just don't get it. Well, you know, after a while, that brain has like it's a shield. And after a while, if you don't use certain portions of the brain, a shield goes up. And that part of the brain is no longer accessible to you. You can't get past it. It's just like I often use this analogy. It's just like going to the gym. If your leg is stiff, you go to the gym, you get on the treadmills or whatever, and you start doing some exercise, and that leg starts getting back into motion, starts back developing. Well, it's the same thing with the brain. You have to develop your brain by thinking, by thinking, by using it. That's how you get things done. And it's a right way to use it, and there's a bad way to use it. But however way you decide to use that brain, your brain, it attracts things to you on that path. Now think about what I'm saying. It attracts things to you on that path. You see, because everything that's out here came from somebody's mind. Somebody thought about it and they made it. Even though sometimes it just boggles my mind how sometimes I get to thinking, I said, you know what, every type of machine that somebody has ever wanted, somebody made it. It's being made. It's made already. Everything. But that's how the brain is. But then you have to ask yourself, you said, well, people making these things, well, where does it come from? Where does these things come from? They come from within the human body. They come from within the human body, and they also can come through your DNA from eons ago. You see, because like I said before, that you are millions and millions of years. You're the end product of that evolution. So all that stuff is in you. Every mineral that's in the earth is within the human body. So we're already inoculated from diseases. already. But you have to let that loose by faith, by believing in it. You know, that's like not knowing what you have. And faith, having strong faith and knowing and believing is that key to uh, to unlock that mental energy or that mental power that you have. Meditation and prayer is the door. Meditation and prayer is the door that you open to get into your mind. You see. So it's that's what it's really all about. People may not say it, but just because people don't say it and because people don't agree with what you're saying, doesn't mean what you're saying is not right. It very well mean they just haven't gotten up to that mental level of knowledge that you are at. So don't be so quick. Don't be so quick to judge somebody or deny or say no, that's not true. If you haven't experienced it, if you haven't been there, how can you tell someone what's uh what's real or what's true and what isn't true? If you haven't been there, you can't. Especially when you talk about mental ability and spirituality. You haven't been there. You can't. Uh, I was talking to on the radio station the other day, saying that was talking about how people always, commenting on stuff. I think I mentioned it earlier, but that people comment on stuff, but they don't have any knowledge of what they're commenting about. But they're just throwing it out there. They're so well. I guess I can put it this way: people are so opinionated, and their opinions are baseless to a point, and that depends on what they are talking about. So if you haven't had an experience about anything, what qualifies you to have opinions about it? Say something. I mean, but you can look at the surface of it, but you can look at a war and say you can tell someone how terrible a war is. But you can't tell anybody how it feel like out there to have them bullets flying over your head or getting shot or watching a friend get blown apart. That you can't. That you can't talk about. You can be opinionated about it, but you can't tell them how they feel because you've never been there. And we got to do more to save this America because if America is gone, this country uh, is overran, taking control by a dictator. Do you think? Do you think you're going to be uh, different based on what your color is? No, no. Because it's all about power. And if people have billions and billions and billions of dollars and they still want more, I think they're mentally ill, if you ask me. Just my opinion, you know, my opinion. If you have so much money you can't even spend and you still want more, and you see people starving and you don't even do anything to help them except pull up a U-Haul truck and give them a sandwich or something. Something, something's wrong. There's nothing wrong with treating people right. There's nothing wrong with loving people. You're missing the best part of life has been taken away. You have allowed it to be taken away. These schools, I told the guys, you know what, to be having this conversation about asbestos in schools and school buildings being deteriorated, There's no need to, we shouldn't even be having this conversation. When you build new prisons, you build new stadiums, you build new malls. You just building, 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 and you tell me schools that teach your children are unsafe, the buildings are dilapidated, the teachers don't care anything about the children and the quality of education. The teachers don't have enough money to buy the necessary supplies. The schools are not being taught up to the progress of the country itself or the technology level. Something's wrong. But is what's wrong is the wrong thing is with the people now. Excuse me. This is what I'm finding. The American people got to take more of the blame for this stuff. Now, I'm tired of even blaming politicians for this. I can understand, you blame the politician when you don't know, but when you see these politicians out here, and these politicians continue, these same politicians continue to get reelected year in and year out. That ain't the politicians. That's the people. That's the people. You see council, these things happening, and council keep talking, talking, talking. The same things happen year. That's the council. But yet they keep same people get in and get elected. People, you got to get involved and start paying attention and start exerting the power that you have together. But if you're out here fighting against one another, you're fighting against high prices in the supermarkets, you're fighting against high prices in the develop your neighborhoods. These people can't live without your money. They need your money. They need you. So you should demand some type of respect or some type of transparency as far as what you're spending your money on and the quality of stuff that you get. I went somewhere and I bought a sandwich someplace, and they made the sandwich like they giving it to me. I'm paying you for this sandwich, so I expect a good sandwich with fresh bread, fresh lettuce, tomato, whatever you want to put on it. But you're paying for it. Don't just throw something out at someone just because you can't. Oh well, this is leftover. I don't want to throw this out, but I'm gonna give it to you. Excuse me. And this is what happened to me one day. I went to this restaurant. I ordered egg sandwich on a croissant, and I got it, paid for it. When as I was opening up, as I sat outside the truck and looking at it, I took a bite. I said, "Oh no, no, I can't." I mean, the croissant looked like it was not looked like it was overcooked. The egg was so skimpy, I could barely see the egg. And I took it back in the store because if I didn't take it back, he would have thought what he was giving was okay. So he would have continued to give that to someone else. I said, no, that was one reason why I didn't do it. And the other reason that was one reason why I did do it. And the other reason I took the sandwich back because I paid for it. I deserved a better sandwich than that. So I took it back to him. He asked me, first thing he said, what's the matter? I opened the sandwich up and I gave it to him. I said, would you eat that? You know, the first thing came out of his mouth, he said, go up front and tell the man to give you your money back. That's what he said. And I respected that, but I told him, I said, I brought this sandwich back to you to let you know this is not how you would serve a sandwich to someone. He said, well, we only put one egg. I said, well, look, I'm paying you for a good sandwich. If you want to put 2 eggs on it and charge me for the egg, I don't care. But give me a decent sandwich. He said, well, you know what? Yeah, 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 okay, okay. But I just took I didn't take all that's a part of the money back. But anyway, people have got to learn, but they don't learn people if you don't tell them. You have to let them know that this is not okay. It's not. You deserve to be treated fairly because you pay for what you get. You pay sometimes for what you don't get, you be paying for. But you have to let these people know they need your business. And I don't mind if I don't mind paying, but just give me what I pay for. Don't act like you giving me something and charging me. No. Mm-mm. If you giving it to me free or something, make it any way you want to make it, then let me decide whether or not I want to eat it. But not when I'm paying. But this all goes back to saving America. Same thing with these politicians. They're in there to do a job. So if they continue to be doing a job, the same thing, these politicians that supported an insurrection on Capitol, supported a coup, it was talking about hanging the vice president, and it seemed like to me even the vice president he wanted to support himself. What the heck is wrong? The world is looking at us, people. We are the most powerful country in the world, and the world is looking at us. You know, did we get a bad deal in the beginning? Yes, we did in this country. So did a whole lot of other people. But guess what? You got to that grab a hold. You got to say, okay, that happened. Let's make sure it doesn't happen again. Okay, so let's educate our children. Let's educate our children. Let's get the lawyers. Let's get the doctors. Let's get the scientists. Let's get the technicians. Let's get the architects. Let's get the proper teachers. Let's get the lawyers. You know, you like jewelry? Let's get some people that make jewelry, some diamonds. Know the difference. Know the difference when you go to a store to buy a diamond. Know what to look for. I'm gonna tell you a story with me. Every time, every time if I go in the store just to look, sometimes my girlfriend just want to look. So I don't buy them. I mean, if I like jewelry, but anyway, what I'm trying to say is, uh, you go in and look at a beautiful ring. So they'll tell me, oh, I said, this is a diamond. So everything is fine. But time I ask for a loop is that glass where you hold up to look at the stone. Now right away, oh, well, this stone has some flaws in it. This stone is just on display. It's not a real stone. The real stones is in the back. I'll get them out for you. This is what I get when I ask for Luke to look at a diamond. But before I mention Luke now, oh, this is 3,000. This stone here is 3,000. Oh, this is a beautiful ring here. This is a beautiful ring. This is a gemstone. Look at the clarity. Look at the cut. That's what you get before you ask for Luke. But when I ask for Luke, the whole thing changes because people don't know. People, it pays to know and learn everything you can, especially today, because everybody's out to get you. Everybody, you know. Stop looking for free stuff. No such animal. No such animal. You know. I uh, I was talking to a friend. That lady, a senior, was selling some property, and the lady was going to sell a house for 50,000. So I told her, I said, well, look, don't sell the house for 50,000. I said, I know it needs work, but I know someone that's looking for a house would pay you anywhere from maybe from 90 to 100,000 for the house. Plus they have to do the work, whatever work would need to be done. And so I mentioned it to a friend of mine that was in real estate, and I told him, I said, "Yeah, the lady was gonna sell the house for 50,000, but I told her no, don't do that." I said, "I know somebody might be able to pay her." Uh, first thing he told me, he said, "Man, no, buy the house for 50,000, buy it for 50." But you know what the point of it is? Don't take advantage of people. Just because you can or you're in a position to do that, don't take advantage of people. And this is what's wrong today. Everybody wants something for nothing. There's no such animal. You buying something from a senior. That's why you buying something from a senior. These people have been in these houses for years and years. They don't know the value of property today. Someone come along and ask them $30,000, $40,000 for the house, and they'll sell it. Don't do that. That's what's wrong. But it's being done every day. Contractors. Contractors come in your house, man. Some of them, this guy, one guy uh, wanted to do some work, and he wanted a deposit, and didn't even measure anything out there. Didn't even know what he was building. I want this amount for a deposit. I said, what are you going to do? A deposit for what? What are you building? What's your measurements? What do you need? I just showed the dope. Here's the dope. You know, it's terrible, man. It's terrible. And we do it to ourselves. And this is what saving America is all about. We've got to change our whole perspective on things. We got to stop just wanting money, 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 money. We need it to live, but don't just give your money away like that, man. I mean, when are some of these top stars gonna come in the neighborhood and give a free concert or concert for $10? So when? I don't understand. But I guess if people gonna pay 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, and whatever they pay, I guess if they're gonna pay it, people want to get it. You know, don't know any better. But then the same people paying all that money, they go back home, they can't even pay the electric bill. You know, behind on the mortgage, all this kind of stuff. Working 3 and 4 jobs. Common sense, people. You need common sense, and people don't have it today. They don't have it. And these guns every day now, every day. These kids, it's kids now. More and more kids is killing because a lot of kids is watching all these video games and stuff like that. They're under a lot of stress and being bullied in school and all this kind of stuff. So, the first thing they do is grab a gun and they start shooting. Everybody seems to be on the edge now. If you're driving, someone cut in front of you. Next thing you know, you done yelled out. Next thing you know, you shooting, and oh man, it's too much. We're under pressure. We're living in a world under pressure, and we're about to explode. Like, should I say, we are exploding? You know, and I hear people talk about the, the ozone, climate change. You can't. How you gonna go back and melt the poles? People, we done passed the point of return. You need to start thinking about this thing. You can't go back and refreeze the poles that's melting. You can't go back and put the ozone back up. A bit late for that. Poison water. They haven't even gotten into the fresh drinking water yet. We had a scare the other couple of months ago, and people in supermarkets fighting over bottled water. Why haven't with things that water is so important in the cities? Drinking water is so important now. Why isn't drinking water one of the first things on the agenda to get taken care of? Why isn't there's filters, there's drinking water coming out of the house, but now, you know, Water's a, fresh water's a billion dollar business. So there's nothing wrong with it. But I'm just saying, you know, at least water at the tap should be drinkable. You know, drinking spring water is a luxury, and it's getting higher and higher every day. I remember spring water used to be $1.99 for 24 bottles. Now it's $7. Every now you might get one $5.99 or something. I've seen it for $7, $7.99. It's gonna get higher. Oranges in the supermarket. My neighborhood, I haven't seen a decent orange in 5 years. All the oranges that come in that supermarket that need to be thrown out. Half of them anyway. No, maybe three-fourths of them need to be thrown out. Something wrong with bananas. They don't look the same anymore. Not in the neighborhoods. I think it's getting to the point now where the good fruit goes into certain neighborhoods. It's just the way it is. You know, you got to get involved. People. You got to get involved. You got to stop all this talking, talk. That's one of the reasons why I don't even come on as much as I used to. But I'm going to start giving. I'm going to start giving. We'll start giving some like seminars, public speaking. Maybe if I get out and just hands on people, because there's a lot of things that we have to start. We got to start doing as a people, you know. And one another thing that bothers me that I hear a lot about, we talk about. Um, I know black people need to stick together, work together, like every other ethnic group. They stick together, but at the end of the day, we all work together as a people. You see, because all the dollars are green. You understand? So we all need to work together to develop your neighborhoods, where your neighborhoods is nice. So the Asians can go to the uh, uh, Afro American neighborhoods. The Italians can go to the Asian neighborhood. The Jewish can go to these neighborhoods. But all the neighborhoods should be nice to the point that everybody feels safe coming into your neighborhood. Coming into your neighborhood was clean. Everybody can sit down. They can have wine outside and feel safe. And the food is good. The neighborhoods are clean. This is how it should be done. And there's beauty. There's beauty in being different. Tonight I feel like I want some Italian food. Oh, and you're welcome. You're welcome. You're presentable. This is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the politicians work for the American people. Get rid of the bullshit because it's not going to last. This is what has brought us to where we are now. Is the bullshit has surfaced, and people are trying to take bullshit and turn it into something that's good when it's not. And that's where you get the problem. And the thing about too is these people have got to be cooperative. If you get in there in an office elected by the people, get paid by the taxpayers' money, then you have a standard that you have to abide by. If you found to be dishonest and going against the government, that you have taken an oath to protect and the American people, there's no need for no court. You're gone. It's just that simple. You've been getting away with too much for too long. It's time for this mess to stop. And unless the American people get together and stop this, then nothing's going to happen. So you make up your mind. Do you want to save America or you want this country to go down? Because that's where it's going. Exactly where it's going. And when it go down, people, we're all going to lose. We're all going to lose. Even the rich is going to lose. Because they ain't gonna have no country. You can't live in outer space. They go in outer space, build all the rockets they want to build out there and the hotels. But you know what? this planet Earth, this environment is the environment for humans. You understand? This is a real environment. An artificial environment to sustain life means that you have artificial life. It's common sense. Think about it. Doesn't make sense. We can clean this place up. All that money that you're putting in outer space, clean this place up, this world up. Make it a beautiful place to live for everybody. You understand? Instead of sending people up there in outer space, take some of this junk that's in all these countries all over the world, and take this junk and drop that off up in Mars and clean this planet Earth up so everybody can have a wonderful life. You don't have to have the same level. Everybody ain't got to ride around no Rolls Royces or Lamborghinis or whatever. No, that ain't important to everybody. Everybody don't need that. Some people need that to feel good about themselves. But that doesn't even last. It doesn't. You got to feel good about yourself inside. And that's why I also have solution concepts, seeking a higher level of consciousness, not talking about it, but being about it. Your world is your level of consciousness. There's no such thing as death. You can't tell me that you remember starting to live. As far as you know, you have been living ever since the beginning of time. And tell me I'm wrong. On that note, people, I get carried away, but I haven't talked in a while, and I do come on there and talk. And sometimes for those who people that I know, sometimes people out there, they get all up in your business. Sometimes they need to just stay focused. Stay focused on your own business, things that you're doing. There's too many people just getting in other people's business, and they shouldn't do that. So anyway, it's been wonderful, and people have a wonderful, wonderful evening.